Welcome to the Trip Tales podcast with me, Kelsey Graves. Let's jump into a new episode exploring a vacation destination that you'll want all the details about. Hey everyone, welcome back to Trip Tales. Today we have a fun episode because we are going to be talking about cruising on the Disney Wish again. As you regular listeners know, my family went on our first Disney cruise last October, and it didn't really go as planned. I was so excited and prepared for this cruise, but almost everything that could go wrong did go wrong, including a gnarly stomach bug for my 12-year-old and Hurricane Milton hitting Orlando, causing Port Canaveral to close, which kept us out to sea for 2 extra nights. But that is a different episode, and if you'd like to hear that story, check out episode 34 of Trip Tales titled Stuck at Sea, my honest review of our Disney Wish cruise after extra days on board due to Hurricane Milton, plus our favorite magical moments. I'll put that link in the show notes. Similar to the multiple Beaches, Turks and Caicos episodes, one Trip Fails episode, and one Rebuttal episode sharing about why listeners love that resort, my guest today, Katie, heard my Disney cruise episode and emailed me because she had an entirely different experience aboard the Disney Wish, also sailing in October 2024, however, a different sailing week. And she wanted to share her trip with everyone. So welcome, Katie. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
I start every episode with a rapid fire get to know you. So tell everyone where you live, what you do, and about your family.
Yeah, my name is Katie Kinley, and I live in Greenville, South Carolina. I'm married to my husband for 15 years. We have 3 boys right now. They are 10, almost 8, and 5. We are a homeschool family. I am a travel agent, and I coach at our CrossFit gym. So I am the kind of person that if I don't have 100 plates spinning at the same time, I feel useless. And so I just love to do all the things. So that's kind of what our life looks like right now.
I love it. Homeschooling 3 boys. You are a saint. I've always said I would never homeschool because it's just not my personality type. But my youngest is like the first time in my life where I'm like, would I? Because she's just like such a creative soul, doesn't really like to sit still all day, is constantly creating. She's currently in 1st grade and she's such a homebody that I've like started to talk about it. And my husband is like, are you listening to yourself? And I'm like, I am. I might consider it. So if I do, I might be emailing you.
Yes, there's definitely times where I'm like, you're going to go outside and jump on the trampoline for 15 minutes and then we're going to come back to this because you're not in it and I need a break. And
Yeah.
we're going to cool it and come back.
But that's the beauty of homeschooling is that you can do that. Whereas if they feel like they need that physical break at school, they don't get that and they're just kind of like stuck in their little desk.
Yep, for sure. I'm not my best self if I'm stuck at my desk. So I
Right.
get it.
Let's start with why you booked this trip in the first place. I believe it was kind of a last minute decision for your family.
Yes. So, like I said, I'm a travel agent. And so our family loves to travel. That's how I got into doing it in the first place. We went to Disney as a family and I was like, wait, how can we keep coming back here and not pay this much money? And I had some friends that were travel agents. So I jumped into that. It's been a really fun journey over the last 4 years, moving from not booking only Disney, but to expanding to the travel industry as a whole. But because of that, I'm always like scouring for deals, right? Like I always want to find the best deal. And as a travel agent, sometimes like some really amazing deals come across my desk. And we saw one for October over Halloween. And this was like the first week of October. So I was kind of went to my husband. He knows that how these conversations go. Like he knows, and I'm like, hey, let me get your thoughts on something.
Yeah.
He's like,
no,
no,
into the conversation.
yes. He's like already got his card up. And I'm like, we can go on a Disney cruise over Halloween. We can all dress up. Like it was like, we had 19 days from the time that we booked it to the time that we sailed. But this was our 2nd sailing on the Wish. We had actually gone the previous May. So we have 2 different experiences. One that was like really well planned out and further in advance. And then one that was like, hey, can we do this in 17 days? Like, yes, we can do it.
So did you get your choice of room or was it like, this is the room that's available, you have no choice? Or was it one of those general, I don't know, remember what it's called, but where you kind of book whatever's available and you show up and you just find out what it is?
Yes. So for this sailing, we had to do with the way that they do travel agent rates, they will only discount they call it a guaranteed stateroom.
Right.
So if you want
Guaranteed.
to pick your own stateroom, you're going to pay a little bit more money, or you can do the guaranteed where you pick your category, but they will pick your room. So like if it's a guaranteed veranda, you're going to get a veranda room, but there is no guarantee of what floor it will be on. It may have a slightly obstructed view. There's just different things, but you also get a price break on that if you let them pick your room.
That's good
You're
to know.
guaranteed that.
I saw the guaranteed rate option, but I didn't know you could pick your room category. So if you still wanted like a veranda, that's cool that you can do the guaranteed rate. I thought they were just going to put you in like the belly of the ship with no windows and that sort of thing if you picked that one.
Right. Yeah. So you get to pick your category. And for people that like cost savings is the most important thing, I would say, yeah, definitely do the veranda. For people that maybe are prone to motion sickness, or, like I'm always going to say go midship, because the more middle of the ship you are, the less you're going to feel the movement. Now, I always say midship and have felt movement. So it's not to guarantee that you won't, but you'll feel it less. So there are some things where it's like, if you want to make sure that you're not located in a certain area of the ship because you're a very light sleeper and you don't want to be near, the activities,
Right.
or you're super prone to motion sickness, like then I'd say maybe saving money and doing a guaranteed room isn't for you. But if you're like, I can sleep anywhere, I don't get motion sickness, then absolutely go guaranteed.
Awesome. So I was going to ask if you've been on other Disney cruises, and you did mention that you were already on the Wish once before. Have you been on other Disney ships besides the Wish?
So when I was a kid, my parents took us on the Dream. So that was like totally different experience. But then of course I have traveled and cruised other cruise lines as well. So thinking about like when I'm reflecting on the Disney cruise, I'm like, oh, but this is why like some of these things that you experienced what could happen across any cruise ship, right? But like it being a Disney ship makes a totally different experience versus other cruise lines, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
So you've only been on the Wish twice as an adult in terms of Disney ships.
Correct.
Got
Yes.
it. Okay, cool. You did an interesting thing where you coupled Disney resorts and Disney World days on the front and back end of your trip, which has its perks because you can use Disney transportation and get an earlier port arrival time, which we will get into. But as a quick overview, you stayed one night at Disney's Caribbean Beach Resort before the cruise. And after the cruise, finished with 2 nights at Disney World, one night at Boardwalk, and one night at Wilderness Lodge. So I can't wait to hear all the details of this. Let's start with how you got to Orlando.
So we took a flight out of our home airport, and there are very little nonstop flights, which is so unfortunate when you're traveling with children because I just only want to stay on one spot. But we had a layover in Atlanta, and then we came into Orlando, and then took transportation from MCO to Caribbean Beach, and that's
What
how we
type of
started.
transportation did you take from the airport to Caribbean Beach?
So I love working with different companies across the way. Away We Go Travel, Away We Go Transportation is one of my favorites. And
Okay.
so we scheduled with them and had them pick us up. But there's so many great ones, especially in the Orlando area, that you can go ahead and book. They're going to have your car seats. It's going to be private transportation. It's not going to be an Uber. There's just so many different options there. Yeah.
Awesome. Good to know. Why did you choose Caribbean Beach Resort as your overnight spot before the cruise?
Our family loves Caribbean Beach Resort. It's on the Skyliner. Anytime, even if we're not going to the parks, we just love to ride the Skyliner. We love to visit the Boardwalk area. Caribbean Beach it's a moderate resort, so it's not as expensive, but it has a great pool. It has a water slide. Like it truly has down to like, I love their little like chicken and rice bowl because it's like a healthy option that their like quick service restaurant has.
I
So
love a chicken and rice bowl.
I love it. It's got black beans, chicken and rice, like love it. So I'm like, this is going to be the perfect place for us to spend the afternoon. Unfortunately, we ran into a very long layover and a delayed flight.
Oh,
And so
bummer.
we did not get to take advantage of the pool or do any of those fun things that we had planned. But I love Caribbean Beach just because I feel like there's so much to do there. There's a playground, there's great pools, and it's at a moderate price point.
Awesome. What does it kind of look like? I haven't been to Caribbean Beach Resort, so what's the vibe? I mean, obviously it's like Caribbean, but give us what the resort kind of looks like.
When you walk into the lobby, it's like they have these huge fans that are actually those like fans that are on the wheel. I don't know if I'm
Hmm.
explaining exactly how that.
Yeah.
It has total Caribbean vibes. The pool is pirate themed. It's very tranquil but fun for the kids. They have hammocks everywhere. They have the big lake. It is a really big resort, which if you're looking at staying at Disney property, a lot of the moderate resorts are going to be big. So where you choose to stay, if you're going to be there for a while, is really important because you might be further away from the lobby or further away from transportation. So lots of things to keep in mind there if you're looking to stay for the week. But just for us, that one night, the vibes are so relaxing and tropical and amazing.
Perfect. And how are the rooms? Can you sleep five in a room? Because I know that's important for your family.
Yes, yep. So they have just actually redone an entire section of it to add more of those fifth sleeper room options. So two queen beds and then one that folds down out of the wall.
Perfect. So you guys kind of got in late and you spent the night. And so you didn't really do anything at the resort that evening. You just slept.
Yeah, we still took the Skyliner because we love it over
Fun.
to Beaches and Cream at the Beach Club Resort because my
Yes.
kids are like, I mean, we are a Disney family, so we love traveling. And they're like, can we please go get ice cream from Beaches and Cream? I'm like, of course. So we took the Skyliner over there, got some ice cream, came back, and got ready for bed.
At least you had a little Disney fun. I also
Absolutely.
have fun memories from Beaches and Cream. We went there, it was years ago now, but it's at the Yacht and Beach Club, and it's just kind of like a diner with, burgers, hot dogs, ice cream, and then they have this crazy thing called, what is it called? The kitchen sink
The
or
kitchen
something?
sink. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just this massive dessert with tons of ice cream and toppings, and it's just wild and huge. And anytime someone orders it, they like make a big hoopla and ring a bell, and all the lights go off. And so it's kind of like a fun thing when someone orders the kitchen sink. Hey, Trip Tales listeners, I'll keep this short. If you're loving the podcast, leaving a review or buying me a coffee is the quickest way to show your support, and it will ensure that these amazing trip stories keep coming. Leave a review wherever you are listening to this podcast, or buy me a coffee at the link in the show notes, and I'll literally do a happy dance when it comes through. Okay, back to the show.
Yes, and they do, and it's always like, and a whole can of whipped cream. Like it's
Yeah.
unbelievable. We made the mistake of doing that on I think our second Disney trip. We are like trying to do something special for the boys because it's like $35,
Yeah.
but it's like enough ice cream to feed like a small village. And so we were like, okay, we're gonna do this super special thing. They're gonna love this. And they did, but now every time we go back, they're like, can we get the kitchen sink? Please.
Yeah.
And it's like become this thing that if we don't do it, then our Disney trip is not complete. But we hate it because it
Yeah.
becomes just this like soupy mess. My husband's like, can we please just get our own ice cream?
And
Like,
then
I
like all your
get it.
germs are mixing before a cruise, and you're
Yes,
like,
yes.
no. So did you guys order it?
We did not, but
Okay.
it was not. We're like, well, this isn't really like a Disney trip, you know, like
Yeah.
we're going on a cruise. So it's okay if we don't get it this time.
Yeah. Totally get it. Okay, so you wake up and it's cruise embarkation day. Did you guys have time to get a little breakfast at the Caribbean Beach Resort before you went on your way?
Yes, we did. So when you take Disney transportation, Disney cast members will come and pick up your luggage from your room. They will take it to the boat, and then the people will from there will load it onto the boat. You do not see your luggage again. Like that is what I love partly about taking Disney transportation is I put it out that morning, they can get it, and I don't have to worry about it. Now we do have our day bags, of course, packed with any medications or swimsuits or everything that we're going to need for that day, paperwork, passports, all of those things you have to keep with you because you're not going to see your other bags again. But they came and took all that. Once they did, we went and actually got breakfast at the Riviera Resort because it's super close right there. They have a great character breakfast. So we went and did that, came back over. We met the Disney Cruise folks in the lobby and we waited until they were ready for us to board. And then we were on our way to Port Canaveral.
I love the Riviera breakfast. Our last trip to Disney, I wouldn't say we're a Disney family, but we like to go every few years and make it like a big thing. Just kind of like hit up all the things and be down there for like a week and take off days and that whole thing. But that is a very expensive trip. So it only happens every few years. But the last time we were down there, we had all three kids. They were perfect ages. We still had like a princess loving little girl and then like the Star Wars loving boy. And it was just, and my oldest now, who's 12, going on 13 this month, she's kind of more into like the different foods and the shopping and Epcot and all that kind of stuff. So it was just a really fun trip because we kind of covered all the bases. But we did the Riviera character breakfast. Number one, the hotel's super nice and kind of fancy feeling. There's an outdoor area. It's up on what floor is it? The top
It's
floor?
yeah, the top floor. So they have that rooftop terrace.
Yeah, there's a rooftop terrace. You can overlook the parks. The food is really good. I got
So
this like mushroom and Gruyere quiche, I
the
think.
quiche,
Yes,
yes, that's what
the
I get.
It was so good. The kids love their breakfast. The characters are so cute. I'm not even that big of a like character lover, but they're in like their artistic era. So they're in like painter's clothes and pottery clothes and everything about it. I just say 10 out of 10. If you can book it, get that character breakfast because I loved it. So you did that. That's so fun. Approximately what time does DCL transportation come to a resort like where you were staying?
So for us, I believe we were supposed to be in the lobby by 8:30,
Oh, so
and then
early.
yeah, so it's early, which is a perk when you book Disney transportation. Because I remember you talking about on the Wish podcast that you were up at like midnight to register because when it's time for check-in for the cruise, that check-in date opens, and the sooner you register and you complete all your paperwork and you complete your check-in, then you're given that port arrival time. And the earlier you do that, the earlier you can get on the ship, which most people want to be able to take full advantage of their time on the ship. So they want to get on early. So us booking this cruise 17 days out, that window obviously had already opened and that could have been a problem. But when you take Disney transportation, your port arrival time goes out the window. You get to board the ship as soon as you get to port. So it does not matter if you are in the last group of the day or the first group of the day, like you get to board once you arrive. And because Disney is picking you up, they're going to pick you up and get you there at that group one arrival time most of the time. Obviously, everything is subject to change. Don't like spam me with all of your angry text if that didn't happen. But in general, that's Disney's plan. So they pick us up early and they have us at the port in time to be part of that boarding groups like 1 through 5.
That's awesome. And I just want to make sure everybody knows that the only way to get this awesome DCL Disney Cruise Line transportation is to stay at a Disney resort or the Hyatt Regency at the Orlando airport also offers DCL transportation, which is really awesome for a lot of my listeners because you can book that on Hyatt points. On the very first Disney Wish episode we did, I don't remember which one it is, but it's Jessica's sailing on the Disney Wish. That episode, she stayed at the Hyatt Regency Hotel at the Orlando airport, which for a first-time cruiser is really nice because you don't really have to get anywhere. You land in Orlando, you're already at the airport. She said it was lovely and nice, and she even will say she's kind of picky. And then she was able to do the whole DCL transport, and it was like very seamless for her. I'm sure there's a couple other resorts that are like Disney partners that allow DCL transportation. Do you know, or is it just the standard Disney resorts and then the Hyatt Regency?
So it is just MCO and Disney resorts. If
Okay.
you stay at the Hyatt, then you're picked up from MCO, so you can take Disney transportation. But like if you're just flying in the same day that you're boarding your cruise and you don't have anything to do with the Hyatt, you can absolutely still take Disney transportation, even though that is not suggested because
Yeah.
if you have any types of layovers or situations like that. And in hindsight for our trip, like had I known that we were going to get in as late, staying at the Hyatt would have been a better option because we wouldn't have had, because Disney property is 30 minutes from MCO and it's in the opposite direction of Port Canaveral. So to get to Port Canaveral from Disney property, you're looking at about 90-minute drive. So we would have actually saved time had we spent the night in MCO, but we were like, no, we're going to arrive early and we're going to spend time at Disney just enjoying the day,
Yeah.
which didn't happen, but that's okay.
I mean, it was a good plan. And as we travel lovers know, our travel plans don't always go as we hope.
That's right.
So you arrive to the Disney Wish. You've already been on before, but tell everyone what it's like to walk into the ship, the Grand Hall, and how it was decorated for Halloween.
Yes. So you walk in and they have like I love fall colors and decorations anyway. So they have those garland, the burgundies and the orange and the golds, and they're just draping everything. And then they have that big tree that's just drip like hanging with these big pumpkins that have these decorations on it and characters, and all of the windows have these like villain kind of cutout vinyls that are on the different port windows, the little portholes from the lobby. So you walk in and you're just like, this is magic. Like we're celebrating Halloween. We're on this ship. It's beautiful. Of course, like welcome to the Kinley family, and they're trying to make you feel so special. They're handing you the wands. You're making a wish on the wishing star, like it is like they go all in on the magic aspect of it for sure when you walk right in.
Yes, it's super fun. It's like this grand hall, and there's like a show going on, like you were saying, where they hand you wands, and the show runs like every 10 minutes. So as you're arriving, if the show's not going on, it's going to start again in a few minutes. And the grand hall is very beautiful. It's beautiful when it's not decorated, when it's just, the regular grand hall. And then at Christmas time and Halloween, they do add some extra decorations, which makes it super fun. And we were also they call it Halloween on the high seas.
And I love about the Wish that there's so much natural light in that lobby. So to the other ships in Disney's fleet, like some of the older ones, like the Dream, the Magic, they don't have the windows that bring in that natural light like the Wish does. And to me, I am, and I'm going to reference this later, like I'm a natural light kind of person. I want the outside to be in my house as much as possible. So when we were building the house that we're in right now, I was telling the lady, I was like, I need there to be windows at every turn. Like we live out in the country. So I'm like, I want to see, I don't necessarily in the summer in South Carolina want to be outside, but I want to see the outside, like
Yes.
that's really important to me. So
Especially on
I
a cruise ship, that's very helpful to kind of keep yourself like, okay, we've been indoors. Oh, no, we actually have natural light coming through.
yes. Yep.
There are so many things you can do when you first board. We talked about the little magical show that's going on. You can check out the kids' clubs. You can go straight to the pool deck and hit up the Aquamouse slide. You can get lunch in Marceline Market, which is the buffet, or in a restaurant. So, what did you guys do after first boarding the ship?
So when we first boarded the ship, we were looking for lunch, obviously. And in our previous cruise, the previous May, we went straight to the buffet because that's all we really knew. Since then, I learned you can go experience a sit down lunch. And so the restaurant that they had open that day was Arendelle. So we went and we sat down and we just had a nice, relaxing lunch to start off our trip. And you referenced this in your podcast about your experience on the Wish, but the buffet can be very hectic with children because you're like one parent's going to sit at the table with one kid, and then one parent's going to take the other two and fix their plates and get their plate. And it's like, but by the time like that last parent sits down with their plate, everyone's done.
Yeah.
Like it can be like very not relaxing. So we have found anytime we're on the ship, we want to go to a sit down because I want people to bring food to me. My kids are going to have something to color or play with, and I don't want to be fighting the crowds to balance 17 plates and drinks and everything else.
I think that's a great tip. And it's like I had like a love-hate relationship with the buffet because it's beautiful. The food is beautiful. There's a lot of great options for the entire family. I found food I loved there. I think I posted about this on my Instagram stories, but they had this like jasmine rice and teriyaki salmon that you could put little green onions on. My oldest daughter and I would make these like Asian bowls every day, not every day, but when we went there. And then, they've got the cute little kids buffet line that has a lower tray thing. So my littlest daughter could go get her like chicken fingers and fries. So it's got a lot of great food. Nothing about the buffet food grossed me out at all. It was all lovely choices, but it's almost always busy. Even when you're like, I don't think it's going to be busy right now, it's still busy. And so it is just a little chaotic to get through the lines, get the table. We never had trouble finding a table. We could always find one because if you walk far enough back, there's like more and more tables, but it can just be a little chaotic. And the first time we went to lunch at a sit down restaurant, I was like, oh, this is so much calmer. And they were able to get us right in, which was interesting. You'd think that there'd be this long wait, but you're on vacation. you're a mom of three, you just want to sit down and enjoy your meal and not be juggling all the things. The one question I did have for Arendelle, because it is such a specific dinner menu with that like Norwegian food, for the lunch menu, is it more of a basic menu or is it the Arendelle dinner menu?
I would say it was kind of a mix. Like they had some of that like Norwegian food that you could, if you were feeling adventurous, but it was definitely toned down. Like I got salmon and like it was very,
There were
my
some
kids
other
found
options.
something that they like. Yes.
Okay.
And I will say too, just about the buffet, whatever cruise ship you go on, you're going to have your buffet. You're going to have those issues. You're going to have to find a table, like all of that stuff. But when it comes to the food on a Disney cruise ship, like whether you're at the buffet or at a sit down restaurant, I personally feel like it is like above board. Like it is quality food for mass produced food. And so I feel like whether you go to a sit down restaurant or whether you go to the buffet on a Disney ship, you're going to get good food. Like it's going to be, I mean, if you're not going to a Michelin 5-star restaurant, obviously they're feeding the masses. But I think for what you are experiencing, it's really good.
Yeah.
And one thing I didn't realize with the buffet, I was like, okay, well, I want to see all of my options before I make my commitment. And so you make that first loop around the half and then you realize it keeps going. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to complete the circle, but it's just the same
Yeah.
on the other side. And I was like, oh, no, I've just wasted. Like I like circled this thing 3 times. I've seen the same thing. Like I need to make my decision.
Yeah.
So it is the same on both sides. But that I was like making loops like, well, what else is there? And I was like, wait, I think I've already seen that. I think I've
It's
already
the
seen
same on both sides, but in the very back, there is like fresh seafood, which sometimes people miss. So, same on both sides, but if you walk all the way to the back, they do have like crab legs and shrimp cocktail and all these nice fish options. And in the morning for breakfast, they have like tons of fresh fruit back there. So, make sure you do check out like the back area because there is some good options like at the very back.
Yeah, I think I missed the crab legs actually, which was a bummer.
After lunch, was it time for the sail away party or did you guys do something else?
We actually had some time. I think the sail away party was closer to 4 and our rooms were ready earlier than I was expecting. So they ended up being ready by like 1:30, which I was really thankful for. So we pretty much left lunch and then we went straight to the kids club, like just like you mentioned in your podcast, getting down there, seeing it, letting your kids get acclimated to it with you there so that they feel more comfortable, getting them registered in their magic bands, doing all of that so
Yes,
that you're not waiting.
register first because later in the night, the line is so long to register them. So go down, check it out, and get them registered while you're there earlier in the day.
Yes. So we knew that was going to be our top priority. So after we did that, and luckily the way that they do the kids club, they have several different rooms. And I think you touched on this, but there's a Star Wars room, there's a Marvel room, there's an Imagineering room where you can design your own roller coaster and then virtually ride it. There's arts and crafts, there's like a dance area. And kids have free range through that whole space, but it's all like on the other side of the gate. Like no one else can get in to those spaces. And because of that, the age group is very wide for that Oceaneers Club. So my kids were all in that same age group, which I think helped them feel more confident because I believe it's 3 to 11 is that age range. And so they felt less nervous because they were all going to be in there. Now, as soon as they got in there, they just like all went their different ways. But I loved that they could all, and it helped me as a parent feel better as well. And I am not one to trust places with my kids. Like I did not intend on our first trip. I was aware of what it was going to be like for this time. So I was less nervous, but like on our first trip on the Wish, I was like, there is no chance that I'm leaving my kids in this kids club. Not a chance. But once I got there and I saw and I was like questioning the cast members, I'm like, so what's your bathroom policy? How do you make sure that no one's going to go in there? And they like could answer every single question. They knew they have lights over the stalls that lets them know if someone's in there because of course, like it's a solid order. They're all individual bathrooms, which I think are very important that you're not going to have to worry about your kids being in a bathroom with someone else. And they were like, if we notice that a light has been on for an extended amount of time, we will knock on the door. We will ask if they need assistance, and then we'll like start our procedure that way. But I was like, That way, because I mean, I'm also like, well, what if my child has an accident and then they're just like stuck in this bathroom, right? So someone is monitoring out there. They have the hand washing station outside of the toilets. So they just like stick their hands in there and it's like water and soap and then, and then it goes off when it's done and they can dry. And that was really cool too, because then you can make sure that all the kids are getting their hands washed and they're not like taking their dirty hands and putting them on all of the things in the kids club. So really, I was just impressed with all of it. And again, I'm not one to trust people with my kids very often, especially in a situation like this. And one thing that I did want to mention as well, when it comes to those little magic bands that they give them, that actually tracks their location inside of the kids club. So when I would go to pick them up, I would say, okay, I need Noah, Asher, and Levi. And they would get on their radio and they'd be like, okay, Noah's in the Marvel room, Asher's in the Star Wars room, and Levi is in the art room, and they're wearing a blue shirt, a red shirt, and green, whatever. And I was like, oh, wow, that made me feel a lot better knowing that they could find their location at any point, even though there were multiple rooms that they could travel between.
That was such great information. I did not know the thing about the bathrooms. That's so interesting that the light automatically turns on if someone's in there. So then they know if there's a little kiddo that's in there and nervous about something that happened. That's so smart. And yeah, I agree. There is nothing like how Disney runs stuff and keeps kids safe. It's so impressive. The cast members are all smiling and happy to see you and great with the kids. And it really makes you feel so comfortable dropping them. And that is so magical that all three of yours could be in the same kids club. That is like everyone should really think about that when you want to book your cruise. Like, go ahead and do it while your kids can be together in the Oceaneers Club because that's the best kids club. I mean, literally, you guys can listen to other episodes, but it's the most impressive kids club that I've ever seen in my life because Disney, is it Imagineers? Is that what they're called?
Mhm.
Yeah, they build it and it literally looks like movie sets. It's like the Star Wars cargo bay. You're like playing with these Star Wars creatures, the Marvel room. You're making your own Marvel costume and then projecting it onto an actual mannequin. You can build a roller coaster and ride it. My son was obsessed with the building the roller coaster and riding it. And then my little daughter would like be doing arts and crafts and then like Rapunzel would walk in and compliment her craft. It's just like the most magical place, but when we went, my oldest daughter was 12 and they had just changed the ages and she could not go in there. And I think that was probably right. She is kind of aging out of some of that stuff. She's almost more of like a babysitter at this point to that age range. So
Right.
she could go into the older kids club, which was fine, but not as cool. It's a smaller room. There's some foosball tables, some crafts. They do try to do a good job of facilitating games and that sort of thing. But my biggest tip for people with older kids is to look on the app or visit the kids club in these first few hours that you're on board and look at their whiteboard. They'll write down what they're doing for the day and go to icebreakers because icebreakers is on the first day. As many kids that can go to it and they play those typical icebreaker games and you kind of can find a friend in those first few hours, which my daughter did find two friends. They were able to exchange cell phone numbers. You're able to text on board via the Disney Cruise Line app. And so she was able to meet up with her friends maybe outside of the kids club at this point, go down the Aquamouse slide a few times. So try to go to icebreakers if you can, if you've got like an older kiddo.
Yeah, that's great. My oldest will be there before we know it. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, icebreakers. Like I made a note of that. And I do think it's good for people, even if you don't pay for the Wi-Fi, you can text through your cruise, your Disney Cruise Navigator app. And that's how they will reach out to you as well if your kid needs something or if your kid is ready to leave the kids club. Because we did not give them permission to check themselves in and out. Like there are certain permissions that you can, when you're doing your online check-in, that you can let your child do. Like, well, I let my child leave the ship without me. No way. No way is my child getting off this boat
Yeah. In
without me.
Nassau.
Right. But also the first time we went, my entire family went. So like my mom and dad, my brothers, like it was a whole family trip. And so I could also say, okay, well, I'll let this adult take them on and off the ship. But one of the questions is, can they check in themselves in and out of the kids club? No, they cannot. And they will use the Navigator app text messaging system to let me know, like, your kid is ready to come pick it up. That never happened to us. They
Yeah.
were always sad to come back to us when we picked them up from the kids club. So, and I don't think you mentioned this, but there is also an added layer of safety with the secret word. So your family designates a secret word at checkout. So when I go to pick up my kids, so that's on file. And I have to tell the Disney cast member our secret word in order for, even though they have my picture, they know that I'm associated with this child, like they have all of their systems in place. But just like that added layer of, yeah, no one's going to know this random word that our family has designed on. They're not going to let this child go with the wrong person.
Yeah. Yeah, there are so many different ways you can do kids club, and like you said, when you go to register, you pick all of these preferences. But like even I could let my older daughter check out my other kids. There are all these, and it really is helpful because like if you're at dinner and they want to run down there, you can send your older kid to check in your younger kid. There's all these different like basically parameters you can set for how your family feels about things. We did let my middle guy, who was 9, check himself in and out, which was actually really helpful because he made friends and they were like, it is kind of part of a Disney cruise is a little wild, is there are like lots of kids running everywhere, which is so fun for them. And like some families, like you said, you might not feel comfortable with that. There's clearly other families that are, and you're just kind of like, who are these children running up and down these staircases in and out of the kids club? It's definitely like a little bit of a free for all for kids, but that's also like the best part. My son felt like he had so much freedom. He did know he had to come check in with us if he was going to go do something else. And it was really only once we got stuck and it was like day 6 where I was like, fine, go to the Aquamouse with your friends. I kind of don't even care at this
Everything is
point.
allowed.
Yeah.
It's day 6.
Right.
Oh, it's like quarantine.
Yeah.
Yeah, there
So
was one time we got on the elevator and there was this girl, I don't know, maybe 7, and she's by herself and she has an ice cream in each hand. And I'm just like, you are living your best life right now. And
yes,
my kids are just looking at her like, I wish my mom was your mom. Like,
hilarious. Okay, tell us about your room a little bit. I know you just kind of got whatever they gave you, but what deck were you on and what was it decorated like?
yes, so we did the guaranteed veranda because I'm a natural light person. So I wanted to make sure that I could get that light in. And I know this might be like a bougie thing about me, but I love a balcony. Like if we're staying at a resort or we're staying, especially like on property at Disney, I need to go somewhere where I can get outside and drink a cup of coffee and have a break. Like that door to the patio to the outside is like my sanity saver on Disney vacations or really any vacation. My kids, they love the TV. I'm not a TV person. I am like, let me sit in this chair, drink a cup of coffee, read a book, read my Bible, like whatever it is, so that I can center myself and be a nice person for the rest of the day. So we had the veranda room. You also talked about how they have the split bathrooms where you have the shower and the sink in one room, and then you have the toilet and the sink in the other bathroom, which is so helpful. We had the queen bed, and then the couch folds into the bed. The bunk bed from the ceiling comes down, and the in the cabinet there's a bed that comes down as well. And so our room was, I think, the exact same setup as yours, and it was great. I mean, it was obviously it's small, but
Yeah, it's a
that
little
is
tight.
it is tight, especially for 5 humans that are like my boys are big boys, like they're not small. I always joke that I was robbed of like the baby side because even when they were young, they just were big. They were just like always
They've just
big.
always been big.
Yeah, they're just always big. And so I do feel like that is a challenge that no matter what cruise ship you're going on, like if you're making the decision to cruise, you're going to have some limited space in that stateroom. Disney does have the split bathrooms, which is not consistent across all cruise lines. So that is very helpful when it comes to staying as a family. There are ways to work around it. Like I know you said you brought the hamper, which for us absolutely was a saver. We did the same thing. The hooks weren't as big of a hit for us, but it was, we still had them. The biggest thing for when we were trying to figure out how we're going to fit all of these people is that we would try to get ready for dinner in stages. So I would say, all the boys shower and get ready. I'm going to go sit on the balcony. I'm going to go outside. You guys shower, do all your stuff. Then you're going to go to the kids club because they always wanted to. And then my husband and I would come back to our room, like have a glass of wine, order some of that room service. And then we were going to get ready in peace, just the two of us. And that made it feel, because if you have 5 people trying to get ready for dinner in the same space at the same time, it's
Yeah.
like, I'm going to need to like get in one of those lifeboats and row away, you know, like, but if we can stagger like our getting ready times and not all need to be doing the same thing at the same time, it was such a benefit for us.
That's super smart. I love that you had like a little plan and a schedule. And boys too, it's kind of nice because you're like in and out of the shower, let's go. And they're just on their way. Whereas girls, they're like, let me do my makeup and curl my hair. So that's like nice that you can just kind of wash them and send them on their way. And I love that you and your
That's true.
husband had a little bit of time before dinner. I have so many questions right now. Number one, did you guys bring any wine on board, or did you just do a wine package, or did you order it from room service? How did you do that? Or just pick one up from like one of the bars? There's so many different ways to do it.
Yeah. So we just picked him up. We just like, as we wanted things. I thought about bringing it on board, but because you have to, I mean, I guess
You have
that,
to
I mean,
lug
that's what
it.
you guys did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't really, that just didn't sound fun for me. And
Yeah.
so I was like, okay, I would rather just purchase it as I wanted to, or you can also purchase bottles
Yeah, the
from,
wine package thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then you can have them in your room as well.
There's a lot of ways to do it. You can just, I mean, there's bars everywhere. It's not as big of like a alcohol heavy cruise line as other cruise lines are because it's Disney and it's a lot of families and they don't, that's not like the main focus. Although they were really trying to sell my husband on the beer package and we were like dying laughing by the end. My husband was like, do I look like I am just chugging beer all day? Because these guys walk around with these coolers and they're trying to sell these dads on like this beer package where you can basically have this cooler that maybe each day you get 6 or 8 beers and I don't know. And they're always, and so my husband, he's like a typical looking dude. He's got his like scruff, his trucker hat on. And I mean, every opportunity that someone had to walk up to him and say, would you like this beer cooler? He's like, no, I don't want it. And then he would like die laughing when he would see this dude walking around the ship with like his cooler on his shoulder. And it's just like such a like, oh, it's like a scarlet letter, like you purchased the beer cooler because you have to carry it on your shoulder all day long. But what we did instead is, like you were saying, and you can listen to this on the other episode, you're allowed to bring on 2 bottles of wine per adult, but you have to bring it on in your carry-on. So they'd whisk your luggage away no matter how you get to the Disney port. You don't have to worry about it till it arrives to your stateroom, but you have to put it. So you've got like these heavy bottles of wine in your backpack. It's kind of awkward and not
Right.
ideal. But once you get in your room, you can put them in your little fridge. And then we would do the same thing in the evenings. We would order the cheese plate, which was like our favorite little thing to order from room service, sometimes two if the kids were still in the room. Then we'd pour a little glass of wine, sit on the balcony, and it was really nice. And it was kind of nice to just like have that in the room. So, either way, whatever. Another question I had for you was, because this was like a dilemma for us, I don't know why, but did you choose to have your stateroom attendant put all the beds back up for the day, or did you leave them down for the whole day for people to have places to land?
We did have them put them up. And if I were you, when I was listening to you talk about that, I would have, because my kids are also smaller, so like my kids would sit on the bed or, well, I say they're smaller, they're younger, they're not
Yeah.
smaller. We've already discussed. But so it was also kind of a stressful, like my husband was like so stressed anytime they would climb to that top little bunk. I'm like, babe, it's fine. They're not going to fall up. But he
Yeah.
was like, it stressed him.
It
And so
stressed me out in the middle of the night. It didn't stress me out during the day, but in the middle of the night, we heard a lot of creaking because our boat was rocking and rolling constantly. So I would hear the creaking and I would think someone was trying to climb down, my youngest. And I would always think she's like going to fall in the middle of the night or that she needs to get sick because we had stomach bug going in our room. And so that the nighttime was really hard for me with that. But daytime, it is kind of a little bit of a flimsy ladder, but it wouldn't really be that far of a fall if they fell out.
right. I know they would have been fine, but it's just our parent brains. So we had everything put up. And because we also didn't just spend tons and tons of time in our
Yeah,
ship, I mean, your sailing was supposed to be 4 nights,
right.
right? Like you had the extended situation. So you ran into issues where the average person will not run into, like, we're still here. What
Yeah.
do we do? And so for us, just having them put away and having the like space and not having that veranda door blocked
Yeah,
was,
that does stink to have that door blocked because you're kind of trying to shimmy around that bed. And I do think if we did it again, I would probably have them put the beds up for just the sense of that like day to night difference and a little, I mean, the room's going to get messy because you've got 5 people living in one room, but a little bit of a sense of calm and like things are like made up for the day. And then we go back to bed at night. I do feel like I would probably flip flop that if I did it again.
Yeah, and Disney has this, your stateroom attendant come twice a day instead of just once a day. So when they come and they put it all up, they also will straighten your room. Like everything's like the beds are put away, your stuff has been straightened. You come back from breakfast or whatever you're doing, and you're like, oh, okay, it looks better in here. And then you just absolutely destroy it again. And then they come back again before dinner and they set, I mean, during dinner, and they set everything out. And I'm going to tell you, Kelsey, I did request the hero sheets.
Have
And
you seen people fighting on my Instagram?
yes, yes. So I feel like I am joining you. I am joining your side against all of the angry social media people that this, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to become that person that all these people are angry at now. But I did ask for it and he did it. And it was fantastic. And of course, like we tipped him and I told him like, hey, because I had seen your post and then I had seen all the comments. And so I was like very stressed to ask him. But I was like, hey, this is not a big deal. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to pressure you at all. But like, if you have character sheets, my boys would love the Avenger, you know, like, and just kind of let it at that. And then we came back and they were there and they did love it. They thought it was amazing to have those character sheets. But I just like, I thought it was so funny. You almost broke the internet with your.
It's happening again. I reposted it. I'll tell a little story. So, just to back up for anybody that doesn't know what we're talking about, I posted this really short. I mean, it is maybe 11 seconds. Instagram reel and TikTok that basically says, did you know that if you go on a Disney cruise and politely ask for character sheets, your stateroom attendant might have a surprise at turndown? And I show my daughter finding her Minnie Mouse sheets and my son finding his Marvel sheets. I say it's not a guarantee, but it sure brings a lot of Disney magic. Well, the Disney adults went crazy in the comments. It's actually really funny. And I just have to share that, like, it doesn't bother me. I know it would bother some people. It doesn't bother me at all. It doesn't make me feel bad. It doesn't make me feel like I need to delete it. It actually is funny because when people fight in the comments, which they do a lot for some reason in a lot of my posts, it makes it go viral. And so it's just helping me as a content creator, like build followers and the right people start following me. If people are angry with me, they obviously won't follow me and that's fine. But the biggest complaint, and I kind of get this, I do kind of get it, but people are saying that is supposed to be a Disney pixie dust thing. That is supposed to be something that your stateroom attendant can politely surprise you with. But my thing's kind of like my oldest daughter doesn't need or want character sheets at all. My youngest two, he was even like, which beds are they sleeping in? Like he whispered back to me because he wanted to get it right. Like my youngest is on the top, my son is on the bottom. I don't know how he would have known what character sheets to put on which bed. They probably wouldn't have done it. I don't know. But basically sometimes they'll surprise your kid with character sheets. You don't have to ask for it. The Disney cruise is so magical with it or without it, but people are mad because they think that like now everyone's going to ask for it and then Disney's going to tell them they can't do it anymore. And I'm kind of like, you're projecting a lot of things here. Like, I don't think Disney Cruise Line is going to be like, no more character sheets. And after a certain window with kids, they don't want them anyway. So it's just like, I wasn't even going to ask for him unless I saw him. Sometimes you have to like, you're not going to see your stateroom attendant all the time because they're popping in and out while you're off doing other things. So yeah, I just whispered, if it's possible, that would be great. If not, no big deal. Like I really wasn't going to be mad or anything, but yeah, people have gone bananas and I reposted it again just for fun. And the same thing, it's like going viral with people fighting in the comments. And I'm like, okay, y'all can fight, but like the likelihood that someone's going to see it and book a Disney cruise and have kids that need character sheets and ask for them, it's like getting pretty small. It's not like everyone in the world is seeing that asking for character sheets. So whatever. If Disney calls
Right.
me, then maybe I'll have a contact at Disney and I can say,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry that happened, but I'd love to go on another cruise and clean it up.
Yeah, next time I go on a hosted Disney cruise, I
Yes.
won't ask for these sheets. So
Right.
let's do that. Well, and that's what I feel like too. It's just all about the way that you approach the situation and you talk to the person. So I like, this is my philosophy every time I travel, really with anything in life. Like, it doesn't hurt to ask. It
Right.
does not hurt to ask. If you're polite and you're kind, they might say no, and that's fine, but they might say yes.
Yeah.
Like
And
they
it
might,
really changes your trip.
right. And it may be sheets or it may be something else where it's like, it doesn't hurt. I mean, I'm always at the front desk when I'm checking in for any hotel. I'm like, are there any upgrades available? And the answer might be no, but sometimes the answer is yes, and it's great, you know?
Often it's yes.
Yeah,
I am like a big stickler on asking for an upgrade because you never know. And it's like, wow, that really changes the trip. Now we have a balcony. Now we have, more space.
absolutely.
Okay. I don't know if you guys went to the sail away party. It's kind of fun. It's very, upbeat and you're pulling away from the dock or the port. But for us, because Hurricane Milton was approaching, it was raining and the hurricane was in range and it was really rocky. And the captain announced about 10 times, if you need to be back before Thursday, you need to get off the ship now. Like it was a very ominous feeling pulling away. My husband and I were like, here we go, because our experience was just, very uncommon, one in a million, but we were the one in a million. So for us, pulling away felt very like, what are we doing? But for the most part, normally the sail away party got moved inside to the Grand Hall, which is just kind of like squanched. I mean, the Grand Hall is beautiful, but everyone was trying to crowd around. And so then you kind of don't see the boat pulling away. It was just a little bit of a weird experience. But normally you're out on the pool deck and it's happy and, the characters are dancing and the people are singing and everybody's having a great time, excited to go out to sea.
Yes, so we did the sail away party, but I will say on our previous sailing in May, the same thing happened. It was raining. So it's not even hurricane season. It's just May and it's just raining. So they moved it inside. And I had more expectation, I think, for that cruise because that was my first time doing the Disney cruise as an adult than for this one because it was last minute and I had learned some things, from my first time. So for the first time when we were there in May, I was so sad. I'm like, oh, the sail away party is inside and we didn't even go because I was like, I don't have a desire to be crammed in with everyone on the inside. Like we sat outside and we ate ice cream.
And
And I
that's
was
a
like,
great point to tell people you don't have to go to everything. There's so much going on that, like, I think for my first one too, I felt like I had to hit all these things. You don't have to go to everything. We actually left the sail away party, and similar to you, we went up and got soft serve ice cream and sat in the area that's covered near the pool deck and watched us sail away. That was kind of cool. You can see the boat moving, had some ice cream, and it was like, you don't have to be at everything.
right, because so much of the entertainment, and you even referenced this on the Halloween party, the pirate night, so much of the entertainment is the characters are there and they're dancing and maybe they're dressed up or maybe they're just in their sailing gear. Like, but it's a similar experience, right? Like the characters are going to be there, they're going to be dancing. You don't really, unless your kids are like character obsessed and believe that that is truly Donald Duck in that costume. Like I don't know that you need to feel like you have to go to every single thing because they are similar. Now, Pirate Night is definitely different. It's going to have the band and you're going to have more pirates and it's more like a rock and roll show, which honestly, the first time I went, I was kind of like, what? I was a little
What's
confused.
happening?
I was like,
Are we
what?
still on a Disney
I
cruise?
know. I was like, is what? This isn't what I thought, but maybe it was like that people need a break from the characters dancing around on stage.
Yeah.
So yeah, so the first trip we didn't even go. We did go this time and it was great because it was sunny and it was outside. I mean, it's everything that you want your sail away party to be.
Okay, let's go back to you guys getting ready for dinner. Did you guys have early or late dining?
We had late dining this trip, which was the first time we've done late dining. We had early dining on our first trip, but because this one was booked so late. So that's what's something that I do encourage people. If you're interested in cruising, the further out you book, the better, because you get your choice of stateroom if you want it. The rates are usually cheaper and they go up the closer to the sailing that you get, unless there's like those couple of weeks right before, sometimes they'll drop to try to fill up the ship. But the further out you book, in general, the best rate you're going to get your choice of stateroom and you're going to get your choice of dining time. So if that early dining time is important to you, you need to make sure you're booking out farther enough to secure that dining time. So we were not able to do that because, again, we were like 17 days out. And that was different for us. I liked it in some ways because it allowed us to not feel rushed. Because when dinner's at 5:30, it's like 4 o'clock and you have to cycle 5 people through a shower. It's a process. But in some ways, I liked the late dining for that. But we missed a lot of the shows and stuff that go around because because we didn't have to be at dinner yet, we weren't ready, in time to go to the shows, or it was kind of like do we want to stop what we're doing so that we can go get ready so that we can make the show? I'm like, no, I think we're really kind of enjoying what's going on right now. So we had the late, but the kids did start to get tired. And at the
Um,
time, Disney had not brought back the service that they have just recently restarted. So Disney, after COVID, they used to have a service where the people from the kids club would come and collect the kids from the dining room after about 30-45 minutes into your meal.
okay, on my first episode, the Jessica episode, she talks about this, and I was like, that is amazing. And then on our cruise, it didn't happen. And I was like, wait, what's going on?
Yes. So I believe that was a change that happened with COVID. And so they have just recently brought that back. And I think if I'm thinking like the beginning of February was when they brought that back. So when I think about now, had we had that late dining, had the kids been able to just like eat and then go do something else, because they love the kids club, I think that would have changed it for them, because they would have, and then it would change it for us too, because they weren't like kind of tired and ready to like wrap it up.
And you have a
But
couple minutes to like maybe enjoy your dessert a little bit slower, just kind of have a chat while they go do their thing. How do they do it? Do they like make an announcement? Do you know how it works when
I
they collect
believe
them?
I believe that there are specific times. So
Okay.
it's like at a certain time. So if your dinner is at 5:30, then there's like a maybe like 6:15 or 6:30. Like it's going to depend on your ship and your sailing and all that. But there are specific times where you take your child to the, like almost like the hostess stand, like that very first part of the restaurant, and then they will take them down to the kids
Okay.
club, and then you can pick them up from the kids club from there.
Interesting. What is your family's like favorite restaurant or two, or maybe you guys have differing ones? And is there anything that you had that you were just like, oh my gosh, that was so good for dinners?
My favorite, and I think my family loves 1923, right? Like if you love Disney, you can't not know the story of Walt and the company, and just especially, if you're have an entrepreneurial mindset or you're a dreamer, like it is so inspiring. Like I'm constantly like, how can someone dream up something that started as nothing and turn it into something that has like changed our culture 100 years later? Like it's just like amazing to me. So I would love 1923 for that. But of course, having three boys, like Marvel is their jam. They love that. They love the story and seeing Spider-Man. But I will say it was like, it's kind of loud, and it's like you're watching these videos and you're trying to eat, but you're supposed to be pushing these things. But again, it's the kids love it, which is why you're choosing a Disney cruise in the first place.
Yes. I loved 1923 as well. It's just like such a classy um restaurant. You feel fancy. The filet mignon is like amazing. We all love 1923, and we also had a breakfast one morning in there, and I was just like, this is my spot. This is my favorite restaurant. And Arendale's so cute. And there's like a nice show with it, but it's cutesy. I don't love the food as much in Arendelle because of that Norwegian theming, which is kind of fun. I love that Disney goes all in on theming, but sometimes I'm like, just give us a couple like normal options too, because we just want to, eat something normal, not necessarily like Swedish meatballs.
Yes, same. We loved the steak at 1923. And I also love being able to go somewhere. Like I love that they have 1923 where it is like you feel like you're in this very nice restaurant and you have kids, and that's okay. Right?
Yeah.
Like it's not like you're in this fancy restaurant but you brought your kids and people are looking at you like, why did you bring kids to this restaurant? This is such a, like it's like, no, this was designed for families. So I can feel like I'm at this really nice, relaxing restaurant, and it's totally acceptable that my, 5-year-old just like fell out of his chair and knocked it over
Right.
and water. It's like, okay, nobody even bats an eyelash.
Yeah. Okay. Do I have this right? I was looking at your Instagram stories about your cruise, and it looked like you said your day two was an at sea day. And I was like fully prepared to be like, okay, so you wake up in Nassau, but was your schedule different than mine?
Yes. So our day 2 was at sea, day 3 was Nassau, day 4 was Castaway Key, and then we were returning, which I prefer your, not your hurricane schedule.
Yeah.
I prefer the other itinerary better, where it's like Nassau, Castaway Key, end your trip with
Yeah.
a day at sea, which I mean, it's not going to matter one way or the other. But
Do you
if
know
I,
why they do that? Or is it just like what ships are available to port at different islands and stuff?
yeah, I think it's just based off the schedule and which ships are where, because other Disney cruise lines are ships are porting at Castaway Key or in Nassau and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, got it. So, what did you guys do at your at sea day? What types of things do you guys like to get into on the ship when you're at sea all day?
I went to the gym. I love to just get a workout in, and again, makes me a better person. I feel like now my body's like needs that
Yes, let's
challenge.
talk about that for a second. The gym, we didn't discover it till we were stuck and we were like, we need to. I mean, I knew it was there, but we didn't go explore it until we were starting to lose our minds. And I was like, why did I not do this every day? It is mostly adults. It is beautiful. You can walk on a treadmill or do all the other machines and weights and look out of portholes at the ocean. It is a very relaxing place to start your day. And even if you have to take turns, if your kids aren't going straight to the kids club or whatever, I highly recommend, even if you're just going to take a walk on a treadmill as an adult, to go up there because it is just a lovely spot on the ship.
Absolutely. And that's something that I think is really important. If you're traveling and you have, a husband or wife or whatever, and you can give yourself some time, like, hey, I'm going to take the kids, you go to the gym. I'll take the kids. My husband went and got a haircut at Hook's Barbery that day.
Cute.
And so, you're just like you're getting time alone when they're at the kids club, but you're also like with each other, but you're also giving each other time alone, which to me, I think is what makes a vacation feel relaxing. But back to the gym, I loved it because, like I said, I am a CrossFit coach. So I was able to even do like the programming that our gym was doing while we were at sea, which I thought was really neat that they had enough stuff to get a very close workout. So I felt like I got, like a good workout. It wasn't just like sometimes you go to a hotel gym and all you can do is like walk on the treadmill, which is totally fine. Like if that's what but I was looking for more and I was able to get that.
That's
I
awesome.
also, Goofy walked by like right outside the porthole and it was like waving to us while we were at the gym. And I was like, okay, this is the most like magical. I like actually tagged our gym owner in it. And I was like, I'm going to need to see this kind of energy from you when I get back because this is it. Like Goofy is cheering me on right now on the
Yeah,
street.
I saw your Instagram story of that. And he wasn't just waving, he was like trying to like pump you guys up. And I just think it
Yeah.
was like Disney characters and Disney in general, they're just so good at everything they do. And I'm like, that's only going to make everybody smile and laugh and have like a great day because Goofy was there cheering them on in their workout. It was hilarious. That was such a cute video.
Absolutely. Me, like on the treadmill, like seeing him walk by, like fumbling for my phone and still trying to walk, like, how do I capture this before it's too late?
Right.
So we did that. So we had breakfast. I went to the gym. My husband had the boys. He went to Hook's Barbery, and then I took the boys to the pool. And I will say, I think it's appropriate to manage your expectations when it comes to the pool. So the Disney Wish was built during COVID, and I believe this is what the treasure, the new Disney treasure, is this same style. And I believe going forward, this will be like the plan unless they change something. But because of that, they have several small pools to avoid like one big, massively crowded pool, which in some ways I agree is safer so that like lifeguards and it makes it easier for everybody to keep your eyes on your children. But it's like some of the pools are shallow, some of the pools are like really deep, and some
But
of
like
the pools,
small and
but
deep, like a
yes,
little
yes,
sinkhole. Yeah.
yes, it's very strange. So of course my like 5-year-old like just jumps in and it wasn't a deep pool. And he like scrapes his feet because he just like slammed right into that shallow water. So I think that is definitely something that people need to know because I feel like pools are like a big deal with people on cruise ships that like of course they have the aqua miles, they have these water slides that are separate from the pool, and then you can sit in the water and watch the screen, watch the movies. But as far as like what you think about when you think about like a big community pool, that's not what you're going to experience on the Wish.
Yeah. I would say don't go on the Wish to swim. Like we
Yeah.
tried to use the pools and it just never really we more enjoyed sitting in the lounger chairs and watching the movies on the pool deck, but we never really were swimming that much. It just didn't. And then they will close pools to clean them, which is probably why they separate. I kind of like that like if there's an accident or if there's an issue with one of the pool levels, they can close that one, clean it, and there's still other pools, as opposed to like closing the one huge pool and now it's closed for the day for everybody. So I kind of appreciate that. And after this experience, I've kind of realized, or after our experience, I realized that, you're not really going on a cruise to swim. Maybe on other cruise lines you do, I don't know, but I feel like there's so much else to do. But that is hard with kids because they love to swim.
Yeah, just keep that in mind because like you said, once we were like, let's go to the pool. I don't know why that's like the first thing that you think, like, let's go to the pool.
Yeah.
After that, we were like, let's do other things. Let's ride the Aqua Mouse. Let's go to, there's the Hero Zone. Did you guys do the Hero Zone?
So we did go there a couple different times. My son liked that a lot that's where there's like basketball goals and pool or foosball tables and ping pong tables and all that.
Yes. And
Yeah.
then throughout the sailing, they'll have the obstacle course, like the inflatable Incredibles obstacle course set
Yes,
up.
that was on our Nassau day, which we got off the ship that day, so we missed that. But there is a great obstacle course typically on Nassau day, I think. I don't know if it was there on our at sea day, but we didn't see it.
Yep. So that was something that we spent time doing as well. And then, of course, like walking around, and there's characters all over the place. And you mentioned this. It's also true for our family. My boys don't like taking pictures anyway. Like it is just a struggle to be the only girl in this family. I'm like, no, please just take your picture with me. But they don't feel the need to like take pictures with every character they see. There are occasionally ones that they want to see and take pictures with, but that's something that if you are interested in, that could take up so much of your day, so much of your time, just going and getting pictures with
Yeah.
characters. There's
My
a lot.
youngest still loves a character. And so my oldest was able to take her because she had the app and she was able to find them all. And that was like awesome, especially by like day 5. I was like, sure, take her to all the characters and we will go to the rainforest room.
Yes.
One of our favorite things, I just wanted to mention if people are going to be going on the ship, we loved the family game show in Luna Lounge. I don't know why, but I just found it so entertaining. And if I went on another one, I would 100% go back. They bring families up on stage and they ask them like funny questions about like their parents. And then the parents have to guess what the kids are going to say, like who's the better cook and that sort of stuff. And all of us, all 5 of us found it very entertaining. Just a great way to kind of like kill an hour doing something other than like the pool deck. We really liked the family game show.
We did not do the game show. I now, like once I was like listening to it, I was like, oh, we should make sure we do that next time. My middle got very into karaoke.
Oh, funny.
I think this was like, his experience, but like he just loved the chance to stand on stage with a microphone and just belt out his karaoke. And he wanted me to do it with him, which was not, he wanted me to sing Shiny from Moana with him. And I'm like, this is not an easy song to sing. And this is not what I would choose to do. But we spent lots of time at family karaoke.
That's funny. I love that.
And so they had that a lot. And if this is for anyone that maybe is looking to sail over Halloween or do the Halloween on the high seas, our Halloween day was our day at sea, even though Halloween was on our Castaway Key Day. So they did
Oh,
not
funny.
do the Halloween celebration on Halloween, which initially, again, you just kind of have to roll with it. I was like, no, that's not like my kids want to dress up and trick or treat on Halloween.
Yeah.
Halloween. Why would you do it that way? But it makes sense so that you don't have to feel like you have to rush off of the island for Castaway Key to go get ready. Like I got it. It made sense. Once we started to go throughout the day, I was like, oh, this way we cannot be rushed. We can go and get our costumes on. We can go do all the Halloween activities. So that was another portion of our at sea day.
And talk about what you guys dressed up as and what you kind of did before the Halloween night, because I thought that was really cute.
Yes, I say we, but my boys are like very into Star Wars. So I have become a Star Wars person and they love The Mandalorian. So we did like a family costume. My husband was the Mandalorian. I was Bo-Katan. My oldest wanted to be Boba Fett. And then my younger 2 were stormtroopers. So we got ready. And my husband and I do not normally dress up. To me, like it feels kind of weird to like walk around as an adult trick-or-treating like in dress up, or because I'm cheap and I don't generally want to spend money on a costume for myself to walk around. But this was the perfect excuse for us. Like, this is going to be normal. Everyone's going to be dressed up and we can fully participate in like Halloween. And so we did a family costume. We all got ready. We went and took pictures down by the Halloween tree. We got the photo package, which can be kind of expensive, but I regretted it the last time I didn't do it because individually those pictures are pretty pricey. So I made sure that we got pictures everywhere. And then we went to the hyperspace lounge and ordered like different drinks, and we got pictures in the lounge to really make it feel like we were like really in Star Wars.
That was really cute. I thought that was adorable. You guys were like all in costume in the hyperspace lounge. It looks like you're in like a Star Wars bar. So cute. And yeah, you can go either way if you're thinking about sailing this time. Like you can dress up or you don't have to. There'll be tons of people dressed up, and there'll be plenty of people that are just in a Disney t-shirt or whatever. So you can go whatever way you want with this. And then I do want to tell people that because I at first thought trick or treating was kind of going to be a thing. And then I had read in some Disney Facebook groups, my expectations were set appropriately that it's basically a big old table with a huge bag, a little plastic bag full of candy. And all you do is walk up to the table in costume or not and grab a bag of candy. I think my son wasn't even with us at that point because he was back in the kids club, and I grabbed a bag for him. And it's a substantial bag of candy. My kids were like, jackpot. It's real, true Halloween candy, like mini Snickers and Kit Kats and all the things, Skittles in a bag, but you're not really trick or treating. You just grab a bag of candy. Is that how you felt?
Yeah, it felt like a little bit of a letdown because there were some YouTube videos that we watched, and then they must have recently changed that because in some of the YouTube videos that we watched in preparation for this, they had trick-or-treating spots throughout the ship.
Okay.
And so that was a little bit of a letdown, but I don't know if you joined a Facebook group. So for every sailing, there's
Yes.
going to be a Facebook group of people
For
that,
your specific sailing.
yes.
Yes.
And that's when if you want to participate in the fish extenders and the pixie dust, like it can get very, very like, and some people go like really in on it. I had 17 days and I was like, I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing any of this. But they had planned to bring candy and do trick or treating on Halloween at the different staterooms. So it was like, this stateroom is going to have candy outside of it. This stateroom is going to have candy outside of
Oh,
it.
wow.
And they kind
Cute.
of planned their own little trick or treating if kids wanted to actually trick or treat on Halloween, which I thought was really cute. And we thought about doing it, but because it was our castaway key day, we didn't go
Yeah.
through all that.
We did. I kind of went down the rabbit hole. So yeah, joining that Facebook group helps because even when you're on board, especially for us, because we had so much going on, and then they did give us free Wi-Fi to like change all of our flights because we were all stuck on board and all of our flights were like taking off. That was helpful to have that group during that time because people were like, what did you hear? How, we were like communicating with each other through the Facebook group while we were all stuck on board. I did go down the fish extender path because I was just like, there's so much to know when you do your first Disney cruise. You're like, fish extender, what is this? But basically, it's just this like little cute fabric thing you hang outside your door, and if you want to participate you share all your room numbers and you can share little goodies with each other. Now you can actually, some people go all out and plan on literally giving a specific gift to each room that is participating, and they make sure they hit them all. And some do some really great stuff. We got like a Halloween homemade felted Mickey ornament, like orange and black,
Wow.
really nice. There's some really great stuff. And then there's a lot of junk that comes with it too. So we did pixie dusting, which means I put out one of these fish extenders that I ordered on Amazon, and we brought a bunch of pixie dust, which was like baggies full of basically Amazon stuff that was Halloween themed. And when we ran around right before dinner, we would stuff them in people's fish extenders. There was no rhyme or reason to who we were giving them to. We probably gave them to the same room twice. It was a little bit chaotic. And then every night we came back, our little fish extender was filled with goodies and surprises. Now, I will say by the end of the trip, it felt like too much junk in our room. If I did it again, I would convince my kids, let's not do this. I don't want to hang that thing outside my door. I still have stuff in all the kids' closets that are like old, stickers and tattoos and just all this basically party favor stuff. And it was filling up in our stateroom. Like I was starting to try to find places to organize it all. And so if I did it again, I would not participate because I just felt like it was too much junk when you're already dealing with like all the stuff that you're getting on a Disney cruise. That's what I
Yes,
thought.
and I'm the mom that like when they come home from any type of Valentine's party or Halloween party or whatever, and they have those little bags, kids' birthday parties, I'm like, oh, okay, great. I'll put this in the pantry for you. Wait 2 days and they've forgotten about it and it's going in the trash. Every single
100%.
bit of it's going in the trash because it's gonna just stay and clutter at my house. And like, I'm sorry that I feel sad that they spent money on it, but like, I don't care. Like, it's not staying here. We're getting rid of it. So I think I would do the exact same thing if I was doing Fish Extender. Like, we're not taking any of this junk home.
Yeah. So you wake up on day 3, and where are you on day 3?
Nassau.
Okay. And it's like 50-50 if people get off the boat or don't. What did you guys decide?
We did get off the boat. In hindsight, I would not have gotten off the boat. The first sailing, we didn't get off the boat. I was, I absolutely agree with you. There is no, like, spending the money to go to Atlantis through Disney is outrageous. Like, there's
It's
no chance.
outrageous.
I was like, I would love to have this activity, but like, we've already paid for the water slides on the ship. That's what we're going to do. We're not going to spend all this money to go to Atlantis. So we really just got all, like, I was like, we really just see what we're doing now as practice for our kids, practicing to travel, practicing going to other countries. And so Nassau, I'm like, this is going to be a perfect experience. We're going to get off the ship. We're going to walk around for a little bit, and then we're going to come back. We're not really, but we're going to let them experience being in another country. And they were like wide eyed. We were walking down the sidewalks, and like you said, that, you know, the cars are zipping everywhere, and people are like, do you want to buy this? Or you want to take a taxi? Do you want to do all of these things? And they looked at us and they're like, can we go back to the boat? I'm like,
Yeah.
no, we are experiencing another country. Like, I was trying to really push them outside of what's comfortable for them. And we did that. We hit the nail on the head. So we basically just got out. We walked a couple blocks in both directions, looked at some things, and then got back on the ship, because
Yeah.
it really was not, unless you have a very specific excursion planned, Nassau is not the stop I would plan my trip around by any means.
Yeah. It's a little chaotic when you get off, as are a lot of Caribbean countries, but we had arranged as a trade for me to post for them, and I hope they're not listening, to go to Atlantis. And we got not all of our passes for free, but I think mine was free and then the others were discounted. So we still paid to go to Atlantis. And so if you are going to do one of the excursions, you can book it through Disney, and then you get Disney transportation to these places, which is probably lovely and safe and controlled. We booked on our own, and so we just hailed a taxi in Nassau, and it was extremely chaotic. Now, I'm fine with that when I'm out of the country with my husband. It's kind of like part of the experience, but my kids were like, what is happening? It was very loud and chaotic, and the driving was really intense. And so I was a little concerned for my family's safety, but we got to Atlantis fine. Atlantis is so massive, and it hasn't really been that updated since it was originally built. So walking around, it takes you like a mile from when you get dropped off at the front to even get to the water park area. And then the water park is so big. I mean, it is just sprawling, which is fun, but it's like hard to keep up with your kids, and you're in another country. And I wouldn't go back on my own dime to Atlantis. I would, if I had all the money in the world and I was splurging on this trip, I would probably pay for Disney transportation to take me to Baha, because that is a newer, more luxurious property. You still get to get off the boat. You get to go swimming, like truly swimming in pools with aquariums, right next to the pool. They have a beach area. My kids loved getting in the ocean, the clear ocean. They were amazed at how clear the ocean was in the Bahamas. So if you can afford it, I would find a way to get to Baha and spend a day
Absolutely.
there, because you get to get your feet back on the ground. You're off the boat. Actually, in a few weeks, I do have an episode coming up on going to Grand Hyatt Baha on points, because it's a Hyatt hotel, which is awesome. So stay tuned for that one. But that would be my recommendation. Or join one of the Disney Wish or Disney Cruise Line Facebook groups. There's plenty of people sharing about their experiences. Some are definitely not great. People do not think all of the experiences you can book in Nassau are worth it, and some are good. So, make your own decision there. But people have so much fun just staying on the boat, because it is a little bit less crowded, and enjoying all the boat has to offer that day.
So we got back, got them showered, got them to the kids club. And then my husband and I, we just loved to like grab a drink or grab a specialty coffee at the Cove in the adults only section. So it's like this little coffee shop, but also they have alcoholic beverages. So we liked going up there. We also loved the Bayou, which you talked about in the Tiana's lounge. So we would grab, something from there and just have a chance to like walk around the ship or look at things or be alone or talk, you know, like when you are with your kids, you don't always get to like, say to each other the things that you like, you look at each other and you're like, oh man, let's talk about this later, you know, like, so getting to kind of debrief the day together, just walking around and enjoying a beverage was really nice for us.
Yeah, we only got to sneak away to the adults only area once, but we liked it. I have heard some people say on other Disney cruise ships, the adults only area is better laid out or bigger. We were fine with it. We found some really comfy plush lounge chairs and just kind of relaxed watching the ocean go by. We read a book. They do have a bar up there, which was really fun. They had live music while we were up there, which was kind of cool. So if you can find your way to the adults only area, I think it's definitely worth checking out. And then we also loved Tiana's. It's just so pretty. It's like dripping with flowers. Feels a little fancy. It's a nice place to just kind of sit down and have a drink or a coffee. They have beignets there, which is really fun. My kids loved the beignets there. Did you guys go to any of the shows, the Broadway shows at night?
We did not make it to any of them this time around in October. Now we went to them in May, so when we'd gone the previous year, and I was actually not, I didn't realize they would be the same shows each year. So that is something to know, that when you sail on the same ship, the shows are going to remain the same,
Yeah.
which I enjoy, you know, Broadway style shows. I think you mentioned this, and I think it's important for people to know the distinction between like a Broadway style show versus a Broadway quality show. You know, I think those terms get kind of used interchangeably. And it is a Broadway style show with singing and dancing and all that kind of stuff. If you go into it expecting Broadway quality, you know, while they are very talented and would do much better than I could, they, you know, they're not on Broadway, right? They're on this cruise ship. And so I think that's something for people to keep in mind. But I have always enjoyed the entertainment on Disney Cruise Lines. That was kind of a bummer for me, but it was just not priority for my boys. And so that was something that I kind of had to sacrifice. I'm like, does anybody want to go to the show tonight? And they're like, nah, let's go do karaoke. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Again?
I think that is important though, again, to say like I was so stressed about trying to do everything and you don't have to do everything. It's not like you're missing out on the best show of your life. It is a very entertaining show. Like my youngest, we liked going to Little Mermaid together. It was fun. But if we missed it, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal. So I think letting go of all of that. I was actually talking to a good friend the other day. She's going to Disney World with her three girls. They don't go a lot and she's kind of stressing about the day and texting me all this stuff and I was like, "Listen, pick one priority for each kid each day. What's the main priority? Is it meeting a princess? Is it going on a ride? Is it eating a certain treat? Hit those three priorities, and then the rest is bonus. You don't have to do every single thing. And so to not go to the shows on this cruise, it's like, fine, your kids wanted to be karaokeing, and that's what they're going to remember. And really, a Disney cruise is about the kids, let's be honest. It's not really about what we want to be doing.
Yes.
Okay. Was Pirate Night this night after your Nassau day, or was it the next night?
It was after the Nassau Day.
Okay. Did you guys go to it?
We did, and I liked pirate. I'm not crazy about the pirate menu. We did enjoy the show more this time around than we did the first time. I think because we were just expecting something different than like a rock and roll band. Then, you know, because we were on this Disney cruise. So this time kind of knowing what it was going to be. And really, we just wanted to be up there for the fireworks. Like we just wanted to be able to see the fireworks, but we enjoyed the music. My kids danced around and then we watched the fireworks at the end of the night. And it was it was a really good moment. Now, you don't always have those like moments that end up like they're supposed to, you know, that look like they are on Instagram. You know, sometimes someone's losing it or someone's having a stomach bug or whatever. But like for us, that pirate night was like, this is so fun. Like the fireworks are beautiful. We're in a great viewing spot because you do have to be careful at where you stand on the deck because sometimes you don't get as good of a view of the fireworks as others. And so we were like in the right spot at the right time. And we had a great experience for
I
pirate night.
love those travel moments where you're like, it's all coming together. All my planning
Yes.
right now.
Looking
This is the
forward to.
moment. It's like the best feeling ever. And it makes you also feel good as like a crazy travel planner that your planning was worth it because we're going to New York City for spring break next week. And I just gave the kids their itineraries and it's all on cardstock. And I'm just like so excited. And we've got all these plans. I know it might not go perfectly, but when you do end up in that moment, you're like, this only happened because like of all the planning I did. So it's nice to have those moments in
Yes.
between all the chaos. And that is my one regret of the Disney cruise is not letting my son go up to Pirate Night. I really, truly regret it. I was so stressed out at that point that everybody was going to get sick and my daughter was still recovering and he really wanted to go and I just wanted everyone to sleep. And I wish I would have taken him up there because it's like, I don't know if we'll go on another one. And now his friends talk about Pirate Night and I didn't let him go and he would have liked the rock and roll and the fireworks. So, if you can get up there, get up there. There's always time to sleep when you get home. So, day 4, you guys wake up on Castaway, which is an exciting day because Disney does such a good job with their private island. So, I'm assuming you guys got off this day.
We did, yes. So we knew going in that we were going to snorkel. Like that was our goal. Our kids had never snorkeled before. They love to swim. Of course, they have all of the stuff out in the water. And I was really going back and forth on, do we do the excursion that will take you on the boat? It will take you further out and then you just snorkel around, or do we make it from the beach? And again, my youngest is 5, my middle was 7, and my oldest was 9. And so we were like, we're just going to do it from the beach. We're going to go all the way out there. We're going to make it. And that was really like, that was our goal for our Castaway Key Day. Like we knew we wanted to snorkel and enjoy the day otherwise. So we had purchased these new age kind of looking snorkel masks. I don't know if you've seen them. So the breathing piece is connected to one whole piece that goes over your whole face.
I have seen these, and it's almost like it looks like you just look down and the thing is sticking up.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I thought this is going to be amazing for my kids. They're not going to have to try to hold it. And actually, like one of them loved it. My youngest loved it because I don't know that he would have been able to like hold that in his mouth and breathe. He's only 5.
Yeah.
So he did great with it. My other 2 just preferred the regular snorkeling. So then I wore theirs and they made it and it was great. Like we went from the beach. We stopped as we needed to take breaks because they had their like life jackets on. We rented the flippers and that was all we really had to rent because Disney has life jackets there for you. And we brought our own snorkel gear. So we took our time getting out there. They, of course, were kind of like freaking out at first. Like it's that moment you're like putting all this stuff on and they're like, I hate this. I can't do it. Let's just take it off. I'm like, no.
It's a weird feeling. I love snorkeling, but every time you do it again, the first few moments is just a weird feeling, breathing underwater, getting all the junk on your face. Once you're in it and going, it feels great, but it's definitely like kind of an uncomfortable feeling at first.
Yes. And with the flippers, I know you guys just got back from Utah. Like, when you're skiing with kids and you're like putting all this gear on and everybody's hot. And now like you're finally ready to go to the slopes and everybody's in a bad mood. It's like, no, we just have to get there. Like we just have to.
You're like, we're paying a lot of money for this to feel really uncomfortable right now.
Yeah. So I'm like, we're just
did you guys snorkel out to the statues?
Yes. Okay. So we got all our gear on, they did it. And then we would snorkel and I'm like, okay, if we just keep going, we're going to see some like cool stuff.
It's kind of a ways out there for people to know. Like I'm proud of your 5-year-old because my 8-year-old at the time, 9-year-old, he did great, but like my 7-year-old did not do it.
Yeah, I was not sure how that was going to go because he is like my kid that loves comfort. Like my other 2 will be like, yeah, let's go do all these things.
Third child. They're just like a little
baby of the family, 100%. So, but he made it and he loved it. And I will tell like anyone that's like, if you're wanting like a true snorkeling experience, you want to see exotic fish, all those things. That's really not what, like we basically swam out there to look at these like Disney statues in the water.
We saw like 2 fish. I was like, oh, look, a fish over there.
I was like, oh, a sunken shipwreck. And, I don't know, maybe my 5-year-old thought it was real. And so they felt like they were explorers. But we knew that was what we wanted to accomplish today because, again, we're trying to train our kids for bigger adventures. And so we want to know the next time we go on a trip, will we be able to snorkel? Like we wanted them to get that practice in.
A couple Castaway tips. So the snorkeling, we kind of had to ask around where. It's not like there's this big sign. We kind of had to ask some cast members and they pointed us to, you just go rent flippers from this little shack and then you just walk into the water right there. And I was like, it's like so easy, but it's kind of, if you haven't been there, it takes a second because you kind of, when you get on Castaway, you can walk or take a tram a long way. There's all these different areas to like plop down at. We did not plop down at the first spot. We kept going and plopped down closer to the in the ocean kind of water structure playground. And that's kind of where snorkeling is. There are 6 or 7 statues. My son and I didn't know that. We found 3 or 4, and then later I was like, shoot, I missed some. But you kind of just keep going, and you're looking for these buoys that are floating, little round buoys. They're neon orange and white. And if you get to all the buoys, you're going to see all the sunken statues. I thought it was super cute. I loved Prince Eric and Mickey Mouse and all the different statues you can find. And then I thought the lunch was great. You know, you're on a Caribbean island. It's kind of like a big buffet, but you are in open air and picnic tables, and it's barbecue and cornbread, and they've got soft serve ice cream. I thought it was great. So you get back on the boat. Is there anything else you do this evening before you guys kind of start getting packed up for debarkation day?
Yes, so the boys went to the kids club for like one last time, and that's when my husband and I went up to the Rose Bar. And I wish that we would have gone there the first night and spent every night in that spot because it is just absolutely gorgeous. The floor to ceiling windows. It's not crowded. I don't know if you experienced that, but it was
It was
not
never crowded.
at all. And it was peaceful. And it just was like, this is where I should have lived this entire trip is right here in this spot.
Yeah,
So
it's gorgeous and loungy. And by the time we could make it up there each night, the sun had set and it was dark. So, but it's still beautiful and loungy. But if you can get up there before the sun has set, it's got like windows along the entire thing where you can see the ocean. So it's a very cool spot. Was Himmy there making drinks?
we did
Okay.
not meet him, but I think that that was a perk to the late dinner because we were not sitting at a table in a restaurant while the sun was setting. We were enjoying the sunset while the kids were in the kids club. So that is something to keep in mind. Like if your kids are okay with being up a little bit later, you get to enjoy that golden hour, not inside of a restaurant.
Yeah. And then debarkation day is interesting because you have to pack up the night before and leave your luggage outside your stateroom by like 10 or 11 p.m. This was kind of like awkward for us, but we figured it out just because, like, with a family of 5, you still kind of have like a lot of stuff. You know, with boys, they're probably sleeping in like boxers, but pajamas and then all the toiletries. And, you know, my oldest daughter has makeup now. So I just felt like I had to figure out where everything was going to go in the morning. But we did get pretty much packed up, put all that luggage out, and then had our day packs and our backpacks ready for the morning. If you wanted to have one last breakfast, you can. But since we were early dining, our breakfast was like supposed to be at like 6:30 a.m. I can't remember, but I was just like, not a chance. But my husband and oldest daughter did want to see our waitstaff one last time. And so they ran back down. We had already tipped the night before because I didn't anticipate getting up that early and going to breakfast. You can go to one last breakfast if you'd like to. And then getting your luggage was so easy. I thought it was going to be more chaotic. And we got off and they're like, oh, I can't remember what it was, but they were like, you're Daisy Duck Purple or something. And then you go over to this area and you're like, oh, it's right there. It was so easy.
So easy. And that is another perk of having the late dinner is you have the late breakfast on the debarkation day. So I want to say ours was at like 8 o'clock, and which was like totally reasonable. We got up, we went and had a nice one more breakfast, and then we got in line to disembark. And that line moves so quickly. You see it and it's like wrapped around the lobby, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is gonna take forever. I mean, you're off that ship with your luggage. People are waiting to meet you if you want the help once you get off the ship, and they'll have those little carts and they'll say, where are you? I'm at Tinkerbell. They'll go over there, they'll load your bags up, they take you. I mean, it is truly a seamless disembarkation. If they have it down, it's so great.
So when you get off the ship, did you use DCL transportation again to get you back over to your next resort, which was Boardwalk?
We did. And honestly, I kind of regret it because I don't know if this is like not a normal experience, but for us, we sat on the bus for almost an hour before they even left because they were waiting to clear the ship. Like, I guess we were the last bus and we could not leave until the ship confirmed that everyone was off the ship. So they
Interesting.
had to do we had to wait for them to do sweeps of the ship to make sure that it had been totally, so like the earlier people, those buses that were going back to Disney had already left. We just
That kind of
happened to
stinks
be.
when you're like, and you want a Disney day and you're just sitting there like, can we get on with our day, please?
Yes. And I said almost an hour, but I believe it was over an hour because I remember texting my mom and I was like, we could have been back to Disney by now, and we are still sitting on this bus. And I was not happy. It was like, this is such a bummer. I wish we would have just gotten an Uber and
Yeah.
like taken the Uber back to Disney, and we could have been on our own terms, not waiting on it. Because there's, at that point for disembarkation, there's really no benefit to taking the Disney bus.
Right.
When you're getting on the ship, that's where the huge benefit is. I think I just was like, we'll just wrap it all up in one, take
Yeah.
their transportation. And then you have to go to each resort that people are staying at as well. So not only did we have to wait forever for them to clear the ship, we also had to wait for all the other stops because Boardwalk was not the first stop.
That's a really good point. Yeah. We grabbed an Uber because we had to go to the airport because we had changed our flights and everything, and it was easy peasy. We had booked an Uber XL or probably a Lyft because I have a Chase Sapphire card, and we got a minivan and it showed up. It was right there. So I do think leaving, it's pretty easy to get a Lyft or an Uber and just get on your way to wherever you need to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
So did you guys have park passes this day?
We did not. So that was a Friday. We were checking in at the boardwalk because we had this one Disney day planned. I was like, okay, boys, we have one day. What are we doing? And everybody, we like made this massive itinerary. Like, these are our favorite things. So we hit 3 of the 4 parks.
Wow.
We did not do Animal Kingdom, but for this one day, we were like, what do we want to hit? What's the park that opens the earliest? What's the park that stays open the latest? How are we going to shift all these things? So we chose Boardwalk because my boys love Hollywood Studios. Of course, Star Wars, Toy Story, like all of it is just right up our alley. We love the thrill rides. So we stayed at Boardwalk that night and we just spent the day hanging out. We went to the pool. They do s'mores at all Disney resorts. Most nights they provide complimentary marshmallows, but if you want to like purchase graham crackers and chocolate and all that kind of stuff. So we just grabbed the complimentary marshmallows and we watched the movie on Under the Stars. They were showing 101 Dalmatians. Of course, like the boardwalk had like the jump rope people that do all the tricks. Like, there's so much to experience in that boardwalk area that we had plenty to do just being there. And we weren't in a rush. I actually did some laundry that afternoon at the boys chilled out and watched some TV, and I went and did some laundry, and just being able to not go home with all the suitcases of dirty clothes was such a game changer. I was like, this is the happiest I've ever been doing laundry because I'm like getting to reset a little bit. So we woke up the next morning, we rope dropped Hollywood Studios, which boardwalk we could just walk. That's why we stayed there, because we could walk to Hollywood Studios. Our first plan was to ride Slinky Dog, but we get to Toy Story Land and they're like, Slinky Dog is down. Please
No.
so then you're faced with that moment of, I'm going to have to pivot. Is this going to ruin my whole day? Or are we going to just like make it work? Because of course we had already like scheduled out our lightning lanes. Like, we knew exactly what we wanted to pay for and what we were going to do. We'd already booked those things. We didn't get one for Slinky Dog because we were going to rope drop it. There's no more left for Slinky Dog because you have to get those first, right? So it's like we did not end up getting to ride Slinky that day, but that's okay. We'll get it
Oh.
next time. But so we spent the morning at Hollywood Studios doing our favorite stuff. There was some strategy with the lightning lanes and doing that. Then we took the Skyliner over to Epcot because we had purchased a lightning lane for Guardians of the Galaxy. Of course, you cannot go
Best ride ever.
and not ride Guardians. So we did Guardians and we did just a little bit of the World Showcase. And then we took the monorail to Magic Kingdom, where we hit some of our favorites, ended the night with Tron. And then we stayed that night at Wilderness Lodge because I knew we were ending at Magic Kingdom and we could just take a boat straight over to the Wilderness Lodge. So I was trying to be very like specific in where are we going to end up? What kind of transportation do I want to take from where we are? And Disney will move your luggage. So if you're splitting hotels. So we started at Boardwalk. We called Bell Services. We're like, hey, we're moving to Wilderness Lodge. They came and got our luggage. They moved it over. When we got to Wilderness Lodge at the end of the night and got to our room, we called and said, hey, we're here. And they brought our luggage right up. And it was like our best Disney. Like, it was the most epic Disney day we've ever had. Like, we rode Tiana's for the first time. We hit Tron. We had Guardians. We did all the Star Wars stuff. It was like, when we look back, that's like the day that stands out to everyone. And we almost didn't do it because I was like, we're already doing the cruise. Do we really need to do? I'm like, well, let's just do one day. We'll do one day of tickets and we'll make it like the most epic day ever. And it was awesome.
That literally just gave me chills. You are a Disney master planner. I feel like if anybody needs a master plan, they should just reach out to you because for the average person like me, and I'm pretty well versed in Disney at this point, I've watched so many YouTube videos. I have done it, I've planned it myself. It's still a lot. It's still a lot to figure out. Like you said, things can shift and change and close, and the lightning lanes and everything can get very overwhelming. So, you guys, using a Disney planner is completely free and they already know all this stuff. So you might as well just use one so that the rest of us don't have to freak out about like what we're supposed to purchase, when, how to go in what order. So I'm guessing you had park hopper passes for that one day, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
it used to be that you couldn't park hop until a certain time, like 1 or 2 p.m., but I think that went away. Is that right?
Yes, so that was all part of their COVID procedures. You had to like have certain park reservations and you couldn't change from one park to another to try to manage capacity and all that stuff. But all of that is gone now. With most tickets, there are some tickets that this still applies. Most tickets don't require park pass reservations anymore. And you can park hop as early as you want from one park to the other.
Okay. Super
My
fun.
goal is like I'm going to avoid buses. I
Uh-huh.
don't love getting on the Disney bus with a stroller.
Especially after your DCL experience.
Yes.
You just have to wait longer than you really want to sometimes for buses.
Yes, and then you fold the stroller up and all the things come out and then you're
Yeah.
like, "Come on, oh my God, we're so stressed," or you're like running after the bus. So I'm like, "No, we are going to take the quickest transportation and the most fun transportation." So I'm like, what's our order if we're going to use the Skyliner and the monorail?
That is so fun. I love that you guys hit up 3 parks in one day. That's amazing. Also, I was talking to my friend who could only do 3 parks for her trip. And she's like, which one would you just say no to? And I was like, I would just say no to Animal Kingdom. I'm like, but we loved it the last time we went. We loved Pandora's rides. Pandora World's amazing. You know, it's cool to see the animals, but if you can only hit 3, like that's the one I would drop just because it's like, there's not as much to do in Animal Kingdom.
Right. It's so funny. I mean, because of course, like if you go and you get to experience all of them, you love them. But then there are sometimes I'll talk with families and they're like, we have a huge animal lover and we can only do 3 parks. I'm like, okay, well, then maybe that's not the park for your family to skip, And then others are like, there's not much for little ones to do at Epcot. And I'm like, well, there's actually a lot for little ones to do at Epcot. So, let's just talk about what you're really trying to get out of the day. Because
Yes.
if you go into it with these preconceived, like, we're not going to like Epcot or we should skip Animal Kingdom. It's like, okay, tell me about your family and
Yeah.
then let's make the decision of like which parks you should do.
Yeah, you need to know your kids and their priorities and all that kind of stuff. Okay, we're running out of time. So give a super high level, I mean, like as dumbed down as it can get on how we're doing these lightning lanes these days, because the last time I went, I know it has all changed and you can buy stuff now. So, what is like a very overview tiered level of how you can buy tickets and what you can pay for?
Okay.
I know
So
that's a whole nother episode, but
yeah, it's okay. I will try to make this as simple as possible. So most rides have 2 entrances. There's the standby entrance and there's the lightning lane entrance. For most rides in the park, if you would like access to the lightning lane, you can purchase a lightning lane multi-pass, meaning you will get the option to use the lightning lane for multiple rides in the park. There is a system of how often you can rebook another one. So 7 days out, if you're staying on property, you can go ahead and pre-select 3 rides that you want to use your lightning lane for with a specific time. Once you use that ride on the day of, like you scan in and you use that lightning lane, then you can book another one. And you can kind of follow that process throughout the day. But you can pre-select 3. Now, there are also rides in the parks, the most popular rides usually, that Disney's like, how do we make a little bit more extra money off of people? And that's when you would need to you would have to purchase a single pass lightning lane because those popular rides are not going to be included in those multi-pass, the multi-pass that you purchased. So when you purchase that single pass, that's going to be for Guardians or for like your more popular rides that they don't want to include with the multi-pass.
that makes sense. I get it. I think that was a perfect explanation because I already kind of knew how it worked before. That makes sense to me. So I think what you're saying is if we want to go back and hit up all the favorite rides, I really need to start saving my money now so that I can purchase the Lightning Lane multi-pass and individual rides and just know that each day is going to be hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
Yep, that's pretty much. Unless they also just came out with a premier pass, which is like $300 to $400 a person, and you just walk up to any ride that you want to ride, and you like click in the app that you want to ride it, and then you go through the lightning lane. So
Okay.
there's no planning, there's no like pre-work on the front end. You just purchase it, and you can go to any rides, which sounds super dreamy, right? But like,
Very
is it
expensive.
the most practical?
Okay.
But
Still good to know though. Thank you for all that
yeah,
information. Okay. What time did you guys finally get back to Wilderness Lodge on your last night?
gosh, it was like 11 o'clock.
Did
We
you do
were
the fireworks at Magic Kingdom?
we were there for fireworks, but my boys are like, don't care about fireworks. And my Disney sentimental heart is like, but wait, this is like the most magical part of the trip, but it's not for them.
Yep.
What's magical for them is that there are no lines during fireworks, right?
Yep.
Like they like to take advantage of those short lines. And so that's another thing that like as now that we've traveled as a family, I've learned how to like shift and change and enjoy the things that they want to do. Now, this is because this is a vacation that's centered around our family. It's not a vacation for Katie, right? Like that's not what this is about. So we were in the park for fireworks, but we were not watching them.
I love it. Just real quick, how was Wilderness Lodge? That is on my bucket list. We have stayed at Art of Animation. We have stayed at Yacht and Beach Club. We've stayed at the Polynesian. And if we go back, Wilderness Lodge is at the top of my list, specifically if I can get there when it's decorated for Christmas. But how was Wilderness Lodge, even though you really just only slept there?
So this was my second time staying at Wilderness Lodge. I love Wilderness Lodge. I think it's very fun, like naturey. We live out in the country in South Carolina, so it feels kind of like home a little bit, because it's like woodsy and outdoorsy. So generally, I prefer to stay at the Polynesian. That is my most favorite and will always have my heart. Or the Beach Club. Typically, we'll do a split stay. So when we're doing the Epcot and Hollywood Studios parks, we'll be at Beach Club, and then when we're doing the other two, we'll stay in the Magic Kingdom area. But the only downside for me for Wilderness Lodge is that it's busing to all the parks except for Magic Kingdom. It has the boat. And that's what's my primary driving factor when I'm choosing a resort is the transportation. So usually Wilderness Lodge is not going to be one of my top picks for that reason.
Good to know. Good to know. Do you have your eyes on another Disney cruise ship?
Well, the Disney Treasure has just debuted at the end of last year. And so there was a couple girls from my agency who went on it and got to do the like media pass and took a lot of really great pictures and did a little training for us on the ship itself. And it looks amazing. It's the sister ship to the Wish. So the layout is going to be very similar, but the theming is different. So like in the lobby, it's Aladdin and Jasmine instead of Cinderella. And so the shows are different, the theming is different, and I am excited to get into that one and experience it.
Well, Katie, it was great to hear another perspective about Halloween on the high seas in October. That was definitely much more positive than my experience. So, if someone out there is considering booking a Disney cruise, what is it about the Disney Wish that would make you say, just book it?
I would say service because everything is next level with Disney. From every cast member that you interact with is next level. The cleanliness, I mean, every time I turned around, somebody was cleaning something. Somebody's vacuuming something. They're wiping down handrails. They even, we talk back to the small pools, but they close one and clean it. Like you feel very confident in the cleanliness and the quality of the food, the service of the ship. Everything is just next level. And so while the Disney Cruise Line is going to come with a more expensive price tag than maybe some of the other cruise lines, if you're just comparing across the industry, I would say you're getting more that's included with your cruise fare with Disney than you do some of the other cruise lines that if you want access to certain things, you have to purchase it once you're on board. And those things are included with Disney Cruise Line, like the sodas and the activities, all of that stuff you've already paid for. So for me, Disney Cruise Line, top-notch service you're not going to go wrong unless you hit a hurricane.
I love it, Katie. You are truly a Disney whiz. I loved listening to all of your tips. So tell people where they can find you online if they want more Disney information.
Yes. So I specialize in Disney and Universal travel. You can find me on Instagram at Katie Kinley Travels or katiekinleytravels.com. I love just trying to bring a little bit more joy to families' travel journeys. So trying to take the stress off of planning for them, whether it is a cruise or an all-inclusive, or maybe you just need all the things for Disney or Universal. Family travel is my passion because I feel like every time you travel with your family, you come back a little bit different. You're a little bit changed. You're a little bit closer. You've put yourself in these situations that you wouldn't have been in otherwise. And I feel like it helps you grow closer together. So that is what I'm passionate about.
I feel the exact same way, and we will put your contact information in the show notes. And thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was fun.
That wraps up another episode of Trip Tales. If you have a trip you'd like to share about on the podcast, email me at triptalespodcast@gmail.com and I'll add you to the schedule. Also, be sure to follow the show so that you don't miss any upcoming vacation destinations. And if you have an extra minute in your day, please leave a review for the podcast. It helps more than you could imagine. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next episode of Trip Tales.